600 Centrelink workers axed. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. As always, I've got my loyal stein of coffee. I hope you have yours too. And let's have a look at this article from Yahoo Finance discussing 600 Centrelink workers losing their jobs. Now, frankly, I'm quite surprised. You'd think a civil service job in Centrelink would certainly be secure, considering the fact we're entering the first recession in 28 years. Someone explain it to me. Wouldn't that be the safest place to be? I'm a little surprised. I'm sure a lot of you are too. Now, I know a lot of people have had terrible experiences at Centrelink. You know, the last time I've been there in 30 years was for my 2-week, I think, new dad money. I had to go in there to identify myself. And, you know, it felt very stereotypical going there. And I can see why. Well, I think that's by design. It's the incentive to get you away from this bureaucratic nightmare. At least that's what I'm hoping. At least that's what I'm hoping. There's a lady asking me, saying, oh, I can't do this and this on the app. How does it work? And I said, I have no idea. So my experience with it is not that extensive. And I know that certain people can have some quite frustrating experiences with the workers in Centrelink. I can appreciate that. Or even with the other agencies that they get, or the businesses they get sent to try and train you up and just keep pushing you to these useless courses so they get more money. I've heard all these stories. And, well, government intervention, guys. But you have to, you know, these are people that are working there. These are their jobs. Maybe they want to help out people. That's why they do it. Or maybe it's you know, job they can get. But still, I mean, 600 of them losing their job, that's a decent number of people, right when you think it would be a tough time for them to find work. I mean, where can you go from Centrelink? What skills do you have there? I mean, filling out forms, paperwork, it's just the bureaucracy. You'd go bounce from one government department to another. It's not really a profession, is it? It's just a clerk job, you know, like a clerk, paperwork pusher. So, Yahoo Finance understands that at least around 600 Centrelink call centre workers based in Victoria and New South Wales are set to lose their jobs at the end of October. So the call centre workers, so were these temporary people put on? At least at the call centre, you could go to other places, and you'd have to be pretty hardened, you'd think, going through Centrelink. Centrelink, then shift into, like, I don't know, AussieBroadband or to Telstra or something else. Because hopefully more and more businesses are setting up call centres in Australia. You know, Centrelink would have to give you a thick skin dealing with all the people there yelling at you and screaming. And, oh, yeah. Let me know, guys, if you've had that experience. That's actually one job I avoided always as a teenager, was call center work. It doesn't sound very, very, very nice, honestly. I'm actually getting bombarded more and more with people from call centers at the moment trying to market to me. And I just simply say, take me off the list, take me off the list. And I had one guy ring me up just the other day saying, oh, you know, the interest rates are lower, trying to shift me to another bank. And I go, mate, the cash rate's still at 0.25. What's going on? And he just hung up on me. So I think I knew too much. He couldn't get me. So around 420 Centrelink call staff based in Victoria's Mill Park and Dandenong were told by Serco, contracted to provide call centre services to Centrelink, that their employment would end on the 30th of October, the Age reported. But Yahoo Finance understands that a further 180 Sydney-based workers employed by IT services firm Datacom, which provides similar call centre services as Serco, will also be cut from the 30th of October. So this is obviously, they've had to ramp up their capacity to deal with, well, the beginnings of the recession. So these people aren't technically employed by Centrelink. It's a little deceptive here by Yahoo Finance. They're contractors at third parties. You know. What's more worrying is that these other businesses don't have other contracts to shift those people onto. That's the thing. Serco and Serco and Datacom, that they don't have other clients that they can just shift these call center people over to. Maybe that's more an indication of what's the state of the economy in the call center IT sector. The Datacom employees were told through an email by Datacom Service Delivery General Manager Heidi Jowahan, seen by Yahoo Finance, of their redundancy. Regarding the upcoming cessation of the current Services Australia workload, the agency, during the overall Services Australia contract renewal process, has come to the decision to end the ramp phase, and as such, wow, look at all this corporate speak. And as such, Sydney's footprint will be reduced, and subsequently your position with us will cease, effective as of the 31st of October, the email said. Wow, I mean, footprint will be... yeah. Corporate speak, guys. Your last day in this role will therefore be the 30th of October 2020. So these are telecall centers that are firing staff, that are cutting back because they're losing contracts. That's what it is. So that maybe they're preparing, going, okay, we've got the Centrelink work now, nothing else is coming in the pipeline, or we ramped up for it. Workers will be paid any hours owed and accrued entitlements, but only permanent members will receive redundancy payments. Well, yeah, that's fine. That's how it is. Those of you that aren't permanent, you get the casual loading. Datacom spokesperson told Yahoo Finance that staffing levels would increase and decrease according to their clients' needs. This is what happens in business, guys. At least they're hiring people in Australia. That's the good thing. That's encouraging. I for my web hosting business, I paid extra because I wanted to speak to Australian people just so I could understand the Ventra IP. But then again, the experiences I had with Office 365, and most of those calls were over to China or India, and the people there, the English there was fine, and the service was fantastic. I was quite impressed. Things have really improved in the last decade. The positions were predominantly short-term contract roles needed to support essential services during the national COVID-19 outbreak response. And as the need has waned, our contract with the customer has come to an end. We're working proactively with our employment partners, including outplacement agencies like Randstad, Bowman People, and Citrus Group, to help find new roles for these contractors in what we acknowledge is a difficult climate. Well, yes, I mean, there you go. In terms of context, we employ around 2,700 people in our contact center business throughout Australia. The Serco jobs were cut because Services Australia has amended its contract to cut the type of work it carried out. The company told casual workers that following recent contract discussions with Services Australia, the after-hours processing work will not form part of the new contract from October 30, a Serco spokesman said in The Age. Any remaining processing work will be allocated to the telephone network within the broader Services Australia network. So this was overflow. This is overflow. Yahoo Finance has contacted Services Australia and Serco for comment, but were yet to provide comment before the time of publishing. Shadow Minister for Government Services Bill Shorten lashed out against the move, calling for his counterpart Stuart Roberts to account for the hundreds of job losses. Why? Sure, this happens. This business, you grow and you shrink staff. I mean, a call center casual job is not going to be something permanent, and more like this is going to happen. This is the sad thing, guys. How could you possibly? It's going to be bloody hard for a lot of people who've got nothing but gig work or casual work to even get a prospect of jumping in the housing sector. I know as small business owners, it was a nightmare to get a mortgage. It was easier for our staff to get a loan than for us. Funny, isn't it? Stuart Robert needs to explain why Services Australia is throwing more than 400 Victorians to the back of the employment queue. Well, no, it's not Services Australia, mate. It's these telemarketing businesses. If they had more work, they should keep them on. That's just how it is. But I'm sure he wants to just win political points here. The Morrison government preached a lot about Team Australia, but are quite happy to give Australians the boot. At least it's Australians getting the boot. I'm just happy to see Australians actually getting these call centre jobs for a change and not being shifted overseas. That's how low my expectations are now of our government. So many of these jobs are sent overseas. Services Australia General Manager Hank Yongan said in The Age that services delivery partners are and have always been responsible for managing their own staffing levels in order to meet the contracted work and other requirements. Yeah, I think this article is definitely deceptive in how they're titling it. Serco and Datacom are hoping that redundant workers can be redeployed elsewhere in their organisation. The Australian Services Union Victoria Private Sector Branch Secretary Matt Norrie said workers were entitled to feel betrayed by the Morrison government, and he said they should be protected and not cutting... Morrison government's got nothing to do with it. You just want to keep... I mean, what the hell do the unions want? Do they just expect businesses to keep people on when there's no work? Or do they expect the government just to rack up more and more debt to have people sitting there not working? It's just reality, guys. But it's just for political point scoring. I know they're not really that stupid. They can't be. It's the height of hypocrisy that the federal government released its budget one week saying it's about projecting jobs, and next week sacks for... they're not sacking this, not the government doing it. It's not only devastating for these workers who are facing Christmas without work or income, but will also have an impact on the millions of Australians currently reliant on Centrelink for support during the pandemic. Well, yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for the people that are going to lose their job, but, you know, we're entering a recession, guys. This is going to happen more and more. You've got to prepare for it if you're in this situation. I guess it's different. Being in small business, you're always at risk of losing your job. You always have to go out there and win more work and get more projects in. It's a different world. You've got a different perspective. You know, the fantasy of job security doesn't exist to people who are in business, so they realize it's a crock. It really is a crock. That's why I guess I'd rather have the money myself than have a third party hold it as long service leave or hold it as holiday leave. I'd rather just have that cash to offset over debts to get the interest for one thing, or invest it, or do something with it, or save it. People don't see that. They don't realize that all these perks that these permanent people get, it's what, maybe a month's worth of redundancy or a month's worth of notice, is just them and you know, long service leave and all these other things held aside, is your money that should be paid to you that's, you know, being held on your behalf. But it's a nice fantasy. What do you all think, everyone? Do you think Centrelink should be held accountable? Should they just employ people when they don't need them? Or is it more a sign that these call center companies don't have enough other work coming in to keep people going? At least it's Australians getting these opportunities. And some people, it may be their first job they've done, and they can use that experience then to shift somewhere else. That's, you know, part of the game, guys. As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays or Teespring, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.